This is the perfect story to come back from an intermission with. So next up, my friend, the baby of the bunch, current SLU student, Tommy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tommy. I use he, they pronouns. I was assigned female at birth. However, at a young age, I realized there was something really different about me, and there was a way that I didn't quite fit in with the other girls my age. But it was really hard for me to explore these feelings because growing up as a girl, masculinity was not something to be celebrated. At best, masculinity was a begrudging annoyance, like the smelly and loud boys in middle school, who I did not like. And at worst, was something to be feared. Almost every woman I knew as a child had been a victim of some kind of male violence, including myself. And so it took a lot of time to reckon this with myself, but finally, after 2 decades of confusion, at age 19, I realized my identity and came out as transgender. I changed my name and my pronouns. Thank you. I changed my name and my pronouns and became someone new to all my family and friends. I began hormone replacement therapy and started to take weekly injections of testosterone. And as I began to change, I started to learn a lot about what it is to be a man in society, that it's not all fun and games. And I learned there's a lot of rules to being a man. First off, don't smile too much, because that's gay. Don't ever express yourself, because that's gay. Don't wear bright colors, because that's gay. And I learned some more practical rules that I needed to keep me safe. Don't walk too close to women on the street at night, because that's scary. Don't express your anger too passionately, because that's scary now. And to make sure that you always put extra toilet paper into the bowl beforehand in a public bathroom so that no one realizes you're sitting down to pee, because then they'd know you're trans, and that's really scary. But being a man wasn't all bad, as these rules I learned may convey. For the first time in my life, I felt like my body and my mind were in alignment. As my body started to change, I began to recognize myself in the mirror, and I began to feel like I was who I really am. I felt like I was the man that I was always meant to be. My relationships with others were strengthening as I gained more confidence in myself and began to know myself better. And I developed my friendships with other men and just everyone even more. It felt so right. And that's what my story is about tonight. Over the summer, I took a trip with some friends, men and women, and we went to Lake of the Ozarks. It was my first time going. The trip was amazing. We just did what any, young college students would do. We would swim all day long and get so much sun. And then at night, we would go to the bars and drink all night. We had so much fun. Every night when we would go out, we would listen to music and meet other people and just have a great old time partying and spending time with people that we loved. The whole time we were there, I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt like I belonged. I felt like I was myself, and I was with my friends, and we were having a good time, and I was just a normal guy, which I haven't really spent much of my life feeling like that. On one particular night, amidst all the fun we were having and drinks we were drinking, I excused myself to go to the men's room, hoping it would just be a quick pit stop, like using the bathroom is. And so, here's the scene. I walk into the bathroom. I'm sure you can imagine the disgusting, Sharpie-covered walls of a bar bathroom. Super dirty and disgusting and horrible. Side note, why are men's bathrooms so gross? Despite what this story may convey, this is the hardest part of transitioning, is having to use men's bathrooms now. I swear, why is there so much mess? We need to discuss that. It's a national crisis. But anyway, I walk into the bathroom, and naturally, I go into the stall to pee. I usually have to wait, and I waited for the stall to become available, and I went in to pee. And I'm sitting there doing my thing, and then in through the door of the bathroom, a group of guys from the bar bust in, yelling loudly, and they're shouting, and they're going, "Matt! Matt, where are you? Matt!" And then their friends come in the bathroom, and they're saying, "Matt! Matt, where are you?" And then their eyes kind of settle onto the closed stall door, and they go, "Matt, is that you in there?" And they turn around and they look at their friends, and they say, "Guys, come in here. Matt's in the stall." And they come up to the stall door, drunkenly start peering through the cracks of the stall and bang on the stall door. "Matt, Matt, come out. Matt, Matt, you asshole, come out." And I froze in absolute horror as they peered through the stall doors at me. My heart froze in my chest, and everything tensed up inside me as I moved my hands to cover myself. They kept shouting and banging on the door, and eventually they peered over the top of the stall, looking for me, looking at me, thinking I was their friend Matt. "Matt! Matt, we know you're in there!" And I covered myself, trying to hide my body. I was terrified of what they might see, that they might realize by looking in that I was transgender. And as they looked over the stall and they cheered and they yelled, "Matt, Matt," all at once they stopped shouting and they went silent. And the eyes peering in above the door slinked down and they stopped looking. And there was absolute silence in the bathroom. And I was silent too. The only noise you could hear was the sound of the music coming from inside the bar and the breathing on the other side of the stall from the guys. And maybe my heart beating too, because it was beating out of my chest. I was paralyzed with fear. Did they know? What had they seen? Had they seen my body? Did they realize? And suddenly my head was filled with images of the things I'd seen on the news for the past year, of trans people in bathrooms, attacks on our lives, and I was so worried that I was about to become the next Fox News headline. And in that moment, I didn't feel masculine at all. I wasn't the man that I'd always been. I wasn't this new person. I wasn't Thomas anymore. I was back to being a little girl when I was catcalled on the side of the street at 6 years old for the first time, or the time in high school when another male student screamed loudly in me and a friend's face and I cried in the hallway. I had my masculinity taken, and I had no choice but to leave the stall and to go out. So I pulled my pants up and I opened the stall door quickly, and all the men that had been banging on the door were standing outside the door and staring at me, and my heart dropped. I went to the sink and I quickly washed my hands, but it felt like it took hours as the guys stood there staring at me. I could feel their eyes on me, and I was in terror about what would happen. I've never felt more unsafe in my life. I dried my hands and I exited the bathroom and I made a beeline for my friends, and we left the bar that night and we did not go out again on our trip. I cried that night, silently to myself, because men don't cry to their friends. That night, I was reminded of my identity, and a part of my masculinity was taken. But this is not meant to be a negative story, because I feel like on that night, I learned another important lesson about being a man. Because all of the lessons that I've learned have taught me the same thing, which is that society is constantly telling you that you are not a man enough, or that you're not being a man the right way. In that moment, that was the same thing that had happened to me. But I know today that I am a man. I'm a man when I express myself. I'm a man when I wear bright colors, and when I smile at strangers, and when I hug my friends, and when I talk in a high-pitched voice, and when I paint my fingernails and do everything that men are not supposed to do. And the friends around me supported me. They go with me to the bathroom now if I ask, and they all came, ready to be at my defense when I told them the story. But But it was really important for me to learn within myself that I am man enough. And I'm a man even when I have to sit down to pee. Thank you.